Hello, I'm Susan Rushton. Welcome to Olio. Before I go any further, I need to explain what Olio means. One definition is that Olio is it's short for olla podrida, which is Spanish for rotten bowl, which I always get such a kick out of. It's a Spanish-Portuguese dish with essentially everything in the world in it. Certainly pork in all its iterations. Bacon, sausage, pig's ears, as well as chicken, chickpeas, cabbage, carrots, beans, and of course onions and garlic. Essentially everything in the world except candy corn and walnuts. That's one definition. Another definition is that Olio is what comes in between the acts of a melodrama. So you might have somebody doing juggling, you might have somebody singing, you might have somebody doing a skit, and none of it has anything to do with anything else, and none of it has anything to do with the melodrama. So in other words, it's apples, oranges, and a monkey wrench. So welcome to my monkey wrench. So today, this time, I'm having a woman who is an amazing woman. And I don't know that, but I do, because she is communications manager of Vitalant Laboratories. This is Vicki Wolfe. Thank you, Vicki, for joining me. We have been having several months of emailing each other. I give blood. I have been giving platelets. I donated platelets for a while and plasma for a while, and I donate blood, and so does she. And Vitalant Laboratory, she works at 105, this isn't terribly important, but she works in Sacramento at the Vitalant Laboratories in Mather, California, which is Sacramento.
Let me stop you 1 second.
Okay.
I don't really work for Vitalant Laboratories.
Oh.
Right? We have a laboratory where we do blood testing and things like that. But I work for more like the general headquarter organization.
You. Okay.
Sure. Thanks.
You're a communications manager.
I am.
What does that mean?
Well, communication is all about imparting knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Imparting knowledge, listening. Assessing what a person either needs to know or wants to know, and then being able to convey that.
Okay.
There's so many different ways that we communicate, right? With our face, with our body,
yes,
with our intonation, also on television, in writing.
Hello, yes.
In writing, on radio, social media,
which means
all of those
you are
things.
on social media, you're on radio, you're on television a lot?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a lot, but yes, I'm always writing.
You're always writing. What are you writing about?
I'm writing really about blood.
Okay.
And what people ask me to explain to them or to give them information. Today I was writing about blood drives that are going on in various communities in Sacramento region, including Auburn.
Okay.
And so, and my job is different every single day, and it's one of the fascinating things.
Why is it different?
Well, it's different because of the things that people are asking me, right? So people could ask me about laboratory tests, or they could ask me about being eligible. How do I know if I'm eligible to donate blood? They could ask me about stories. Can you share with me some stories of people who have needed blood? Mm-hmm. There's so many different things. And for a curious person, the job that I have is a really wonderful job.
Because you're a curious person.
I am. And I'm learning all of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get involved with Vitalant?
Well, I have a deeply personal story about how I came to Vitalant, and that's I was diagnosed with leukemia right before my 40th birthday, and then I was in remission for a while and didn't think that I would ever fall out of it. I thought the whole diagnosis was a mistake at the beginning, and then I relapsed 2 years later, and then I needed a bone marrow transplant. And so during that period of time, which spanned really about 4 years or so. I received 300 units of blood, and so that's 37 gallons.
300 units of blood, 47 gallons. 37 gallons.
Yes. And so I probably have about between 8 to 10 pints of blood in my body. Mm-hmm. So I got 30 times that. And it was all safe. It was all available.
My goodness. My goodness.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Here I am.
And you don't have, what was the?
I had leukemia.
Leukemia, and you don't have leukemia anymore.
I do not. And this year I will celebrate 25 years since I was first diagnosed. And I was only given a 10% chance of surviving at one of the best places to get treatment in the United States, at Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle, which won the Nobel Prize for pioneering the bone marrow transplant. Wow. So when a place like that gives you a 10% chance of survival, it's pretty daunting. And especially because I had 2 young children. You know, they were...
Oh, brother.
They were 10 and 12 at the time. And I needed to leave California for a bit. And yeah, it was quite the journey, quite the ordeal, but like most people will tell you with experiences that have just ripped them apart, that there are silver linings.
There are silver linings, and one of the silver linings is people who choose to give blood.
Yes. It's a face of hope for a patient like me.
Yeah.
You may be donating blood, but you're also donating hope.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We talked before we started to film about when I started to donate blood. I was terrified of being picked. I hated that. I just hated it. Yeah. I grew up having shots when I was younger, and I just hated it, and it took me a long time. And I apologized to you, and I apologized to you, and I apologized to myself for waiting so long. I didn't start until after I was 30.
But you started.
I started, and I love to donate blood. I wish I could donate it more than every 8 weeks, which is why I was thrilled to donate plasma and platelets. It was lovely because I could go donate plasma every 4 weeks, and then 4 weeks later I could donate blood, and then plasma, then blood. That's wonderful. I just adore giving blood, partly because I'm forced to lie down. I have to lie down to donate blood, and then I have to eat afterwards. Darn! It's wonderful.
It's a pretty incredible thing to be able to do, simply because of the way that we're born. In 1 hour, you can give another person their life.
Yes.
A lifetime. And so there are many things that we can do like that in an hour that are so easy. Yes. So that feel good that comes from donating blood. Yes, Vitalant gives lots of treats here and there. You can get a t-shirt, you can get a gift card, all of those kinds of things. Yeah. But when you really stop to think about it, the real feel good is today I got to save up to 3 lives in an hour. Yeah. And nobody's getting blood transfusions who doesn't need them.
Yeah, it
is. And you overcame a fear of needles, which says a lot about you, right? Because
yes, I don't have a fear of needles anymore. Yes.
It's true, but there are lots of people. You're not alone. And I think I said to you at one point, it's like, if you like needles, wouldn't that be a little bit strange?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, we have great people at Vitalant who are experienced in taking blood. And a lot of times they'll just say, look away. Mm-hmm. Don't look here.
Right.
And when you're donating whole blood, the needle's only in really for 5 to 10 minutes.
Sure.
So it's much longer for other components that you might give, but and I know you had asked me to talk a little bit about what kind of blood components there are.
What
right?
kind of blood components are there?
Well, we've got whole blood, which is basically red blood cells that carry oxygen. We've got platelets, which are responsible for clotting. The leukemia I had was very much platelet dependent because there was a clotting issue involved with the kind of leukemia that I had. Plasma has extraordinary elements that doctors don't even know everything that's in plasma yet. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but plasma is used in emergency situations and also for medicine. Plasma-derived medicines such as intravenous immunoglobulin. So many huge words when you're talking about blood, but and it's life-saving to people. Some people get just immunoglobulin, maybe one time, maybe a few times, and other people get it every month, right? And it is definitely life-enhancing and life-giving.
Yeah,
so
wonderful.
It's a pretty incredible thing. All of the blood components, when I talk to people about blood, I really start off with 3 facts about blood.
Okay.
Every 2 seconds, blood is needed. Blood is...
Every 2 seconds.
In the United States.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, so somebody needs blood.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And that's throughout the United States, right? And then blood is perishable. It expires. So that's why Vitalant is always calling to ask you to please donate if you're eligible, right? People are able to give different types of blood. So we've got every 2 seconds, blood expires, it's perishable, and there are different needs for different types of components.
Yeah.
Right? And the other thing too is that last year in the United States, over 11 million blood transfusions. So that's transfusions of red cells, platelets, and plasma, right? Over 11 million. 60%, over 60% of the population is eligible to donate, and only 3% do.
Why do people choose not to?
As soon as you get the answer to that, let me know. There's all different reasons why people don't. Like, we're not talking about the people who can't donate. And
Right.
people who can't donate,
there are people who can't.
Right, there are lots of reasons for that. But people who can donate, there's lots of reasons they give. Like, I'm too busy, it's not convenient for me to donate, I'm scared of needles.
Yeah.
I want to save it in case I need it, because a lot of people have a belief about blood being wrapped up in sort of your energy and your system. So, it's a really good question. But the thing I know is that at heart, people are generous. If we had a major shooting, major accident, something like around 9/11, something like that, there would be people lined up around the blood center willing to donate. But, people get busy. Life happens.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like it personally affects me. So there could be that. I mean, there's lots of reasons why people don't donate, and there's lots of reasons why people do donate.
Yes. Yeah.
That just amazes me. I was talking to a donor the other day, and he was celebrating 600 donations in his lifetime. Yeah. And I asked, what kept him so dedicated over the years? He said, I just like it. I like the people at the center. They treat me really nice. I know it's needed. He didn't have a personal story that connected him to blood donation other than he liked the staff. He knew it was a good thing to do. And so he was going to do it. It was easy for him.
Yeah.
So, and then there are other people who have incredible stories to share about loved ones who relied on it. I was talking to a woman whose dad had needed blood in the last days of his life, and she said, that has kept me donating for 40 years, because it meant so much to her to have that extra time with her dad.
Yeah.
And we don't...
Now she thinks about him
Yep.
when she donates blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't know in the moment if the person that your blood is going to, if you are truly going to save their lives, right? But we do know it gives them more hours, more days,
Sure.
more time. And those are the times of life where some of the most important conversations happen, right?
Yeah.
The conversations about, I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry. Those
here you are.
Yes, right.
Look, here, I'm giving this to you.
Yeah.
I love giving blood, plasma, and I love plasma and platelets. I love giving it because it feels so good.
Yeah.
This is something I can do.
Right.
And I'm forced. Well, I'm always eager to give blood. I just love it, and
Can we clone you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I always you probably know, of course you know, and I'm assuming many people know who are watching that I have a column in the Auburn Journal, and every time I go and give blood, I talk to people and ask them why they're donating, and several months ago, maybe last year, I met this woman who grinned at me, and she said, "I know who you are," and she said that she knows I have a column, and she's been reading me, and she had never before thought about giving blood, but she was there because of me.
3 cheers. Yes.
Yes. I was so excited.
Right.
And I'm still excited. I'm thrilled, and what I hope is that she's not the only one. I'm pushing to get in there. And she was delighted, which means she was happy to give blood. One can be happy to give blood if you're thinking about giving blood and, oh, no. But you can, and you should, and because it feels so good. I find myself, it's not hard, it's delightful to walk away from Vitalant, because I'm walking on air, because I'm so happy I did that.
Yeah.
It feels so good. We've talked before we started this that I'm a selfish person. I'm selfish because it feels so good. I like myself so much. And that's a reason to do it, because it feels so good. Yes, it takes a while, especially if you're donating something other than blood, plasma or platelets. That takes maybe an hour, maybe. But you can do it more often.
Yeah. Longer for platelets. You know, plasma would be about an hour 15, but platelets can be over 2 hours.
Yeah.
And, platelets especially, they have a very short shelf life. I mean, I mentioned before that blood does expire.
Yes.
There's no artificial substitute for it.
Right.
So when every component has a different expiration date. So red blood cells, which you would be like, oh, I donated blood at school or at the movie theater, those are generally red blood cells, and they expire within 42 days.
My.
Right?
Okay.
You can donate red blood cells, whole blood, every 56 days, and you can do a double dose. Like if you weigh enough, if your hemoglobin is high enough, you can give a double dose, and then you can only give 3 times a year, not 6 times a year, right? Plasma can be frozen for up to 1 year, and we talked about there's different uses for plasma, very important. Platelets are primarily, about 50% of the use of platelets is for people who have cancer, right? And so, but they expire within a week.
Oh my.
So platelets, responsible for clotting, very important blood function. We're going through platelets all the time. And so if you have time to that 2 hours, 2.5 hours to give platelets, even a few times a year, it really makes a difference. For a patient in a hospital, whether they have cancer, leukemia, which is a blood cancer, or other health condition that requires platelets. Really important thing to learn about and to see if you're able. Not everybody can give platelets.
Right.
Not everybody can give plasma, and that's what's so important about talking to your representative, Vitalant representative, whether on the phone or in person or checking online to get that information to see what can I donate and what's the best thing for me to donate. Right? So. Yeah, it is an incredible thing. And I know you're saying that you told me that you feel selfish because you feel good. Well, you go right ahead being selfish.
If you say so,
Because it's really fulfilling a need. Since the pandemic, we have really had a hard time getting people in to donate blood. A lot of what we used to collect was on blood drives. A lot of those blood drives don't happen anymore because either people are working remotely, people aren't in the office as much. It's harder to get people at one place where you can justify sending out staff and a blood mobile to do a blood drive at a place of work. But we do have centers, including a center in Auburn on Heritage Oak Drive, as well as blood drives that we do in the Auburn area and its surrounding, Rockland, Roseville, Lincoln, Loomis, all of that. But, if you're not able to donate blood, there are a lot of other ways that you can help.
How?
You can volunteer with us. You can... if you know somebody, if you're in the know and you know a lot of people, you can see, would your business or their business be willing to host a blood drive where we could get 15 to 20 people in to donate blood? We only do 4 blood drives in the Auburn community. Crooked, Brewing Company, Placer County Employees, Rotary of Auburn are 3 that just come to mind quickly. But
Placer High?
And a high school for sure. But, we can do better than that. We have a lot more businesses than that in the Auburn area.
What does it take? Does a group have to pay to do this?
No, but the group has to have a contact person, what we call a blood drive coordinator. You can have a sponsor and a place that's willing to let you host the blood drive. Even a parking lot, where a blood mobile could come in. But that's something that you work out individually with an account manager in the area. Gail Graves is who people usually work with in the Auburn area. And, she looks around and helps you figure out, would you be able to do a blood drive? It's a really wonderful thing to do for your community.
Yes. Community. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is all about community. When we ask people, why don't you donate, right? one of the things they say to us is because nobody ever asked me.
Oh my, really?
And that's just, I think, an understanding of how people view asking. Like if I said, Susan, would you please donate blood? That is a personal ask, right?
Yes.
If you do that in an email, if you do that on, maybe a telephone call that's recorded or something, maybe it doesn't feel as personal. But we know that donors say to us, and non-donors say to us, well, I didn't really think it was needed. I didn't really think you were talking to me. And that's what we want. You're an ambassador.
Yes.
You're saying in your column, please donate blood.
Please donate blood. Please donate blood. We're asking you.
Sincerely.
For one thing, we want you to feel good. We do. We do.
Yes, we
Heavens.
do.
And before we started taping, you mentioned a guy who used to give to the Red Cross. Who was told that, no, we can't use your blood anymore.
Right.
But
that had to do, there's lots of blood centers in the United States, right? Vitalant is one of the largest independent blood centers. We collect about 11% of the blood supply in the country. And many people think that we're the Red Cross, or just because the Red Cross collects about 40% of the blood. I think the most important thing is not necessarily where you donate. Of course, we'd love for you to donate with Vitalant.
Of course.
But I think the most important thing is to donate.
Yes.
Because that statistic that I mentioned, only 3%, that's a nationwide statistic.
Yeah.
Right. But the person I was telling you about, that had to do with changes in blood donor eligibility. And he wasn't able to donate because he had lived in the UK, Western Europe, for a certain amount of time. And there was a lifetime deferral for those people in the US because of the very, very small possibility of what is called mad cow disease or Creutzfeldt-Jakob syndrome. Yeah, mad cow disease is easier for people to say. But that eligibility guideline has changed. So many people now, they're so happy they can donate.
Yes.
So that person, I had spoken to him nearly 20 years ago, and he got in contact with me to say, guess what? I can donate. I can donate blood. And he was really happy about it. So there are other conditions. We ask you, like, if you were deferred from blood donation in high school and you're now 45, give it another go.
Give it another try. Give it another try.
And it depends why you were deferred, of course, but I have lots of women who say to me, I had low iron, I have anemia. It wasn't a medical condition of anemia, it was that at the time she tried to donate, her iron wasn't high enough. So we care about donors. Right? There are strict rules about if you are allowed to donate. And one of them is your weight has to be good. You have to be 110 pounds. If you're under... right. If you're 16, 17, or 18, there are some iron guidelines that are a little bit different because you're younger. Also, if you're 16 or 17, you usually have to have a parent authorization, so you're not going off willy-nilly doing stuff that you don't know your parents, your parents don't know that you're doing. But really, if you're in good health and you feel good, this is an opportunity for you to share that with someone else in an hour, and it truly is life-saving. Of course, I'm speaking
as a person whose life was saved by many, many, many people.
Right.
Who...
And, gosh, I talk to people all the time whose lives were saved because somebody rolled up their sleeve and donated blood. Yes. A mom of a young girl who had just a very rare blood disease. She said, when my little girl received her first blood transfusion, I thought her life was ending. But then I came to realize it was a new beginning.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So stories like that really just keep me going
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
Not only my own gratitude for blood donors, but also trying to figure out how can we get more donors in. And as I started to mention about the pandemic, like there's a carryover effect, right? So all of those high school drives that we did, high schools and colleges give about 10% of the blood supply. We lost all that during the pandemic.
Shoot.
But also the need for blood was a little bit less during the pandemic. I mean, it was still needed, but it might have been less because of those elective surgeries that weren't happening, right? But now that things are back to normal, you know, our blood supply isn't quite back to normal.
Right.
So note I got this morning was that today we have about 2.5 days of type O negative, which is a universal donor. So if you have type O negative blood, Vitalant is probably calling you all the time if you've been a donor, because they can give to anyone. So trauma, new babies whose blood systems maybe haven't developed yet. So when you think 2.5 days, that's nothing, right? Like we strive to have a 4 to 5 day blood supply on hand, taking into account that blood expires, right?
Yes.
We don't want to over collect, but we don't want to under collect either. That makes it difficult to get blood to the patient that's in need. Our hospital services and our hospitals do an amazing job at that. You know, it could be up at Sutter Auburn, right? And, you know, maybe they have a terrible accident. They have a certain number of type O negative on the shelf. They need 5 more. We can get it to them. We can get it to them not only because of the generosity of Auburn donors, but because of the generosity of everybody in the region. And our hospital services are in contact with hospitals every single day. Do you have what you need? They haven't had what they would like to need, right? Because they have stock orders for that patient like me with cancer who's going to come in and need 3 units of platelets, right? So if you know that ahead of time, you can prepare for it. You don't always know ahead of time, right? I haven't talked to one blood recipient who ever said, "Oh yeah, I totally expected to need blood."
No, you don't.
None of us really expect to need it. And yet, you know, millions of people need it every day. So in our area, we try to collect about 700 units a day. That's a stretch. It's hard to do, but that's what we're out doing every single day, and the generous people of our community do their
700
best.
every day. That's
700.
what you were hoping for. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you were one of those 700 people? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Yes.
It would be.
Well, you're being asked. You're being asked now. How long have you been involved with Vitalant?
Since about 6 months after I had my bone marrow transplant.
Which means?
About 20 years. Yes. So, and that's pretty amazing, right? I mean, like I said, they gave me a 10% chance. And blood donors are a huge reason why I got to see my kids grow up and why I got to enjoy.
And why you're here.
A productive, you know, and very fulfilling career at Vitalant all of these years. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for every day. I'm grateful to see the sunrise, right? So.
And she sees the sunrise because people gave her blood, donated blood. Oh, my.
I do want to say, so coming up in May, we have a big campaign that's going to be going on. It's called Donate for Mothers. And a lot of time, people just think, this is the United States. New moms, they don't need blood during childbirth. Well, the statistic is one out of 83 moms in childbirth needs blood. So I've talked to a lot of moms who pregnancy was fine, everything was great, they went
and all of a sudden, boom.
And they needed blood. And so you'll be seeing, hearing a lot of that about us sharing stories about moms who have needed blood. And so May, Mother's Day, right?
Mother's Day.
Give
Okay.
a pint in honor of your mom.
Yes.
You know, in honor of what she did for you. Even if she didn't need blood, that's okay. You can do it in honor of other people.
Yes.
And give a baby a chance to grow up with a
Sure,
mom.
sure.
You know? So that's a pretty powerful thing to do as well.
Yes. So this is happening in May, all during May?
Uh-huh. Yeah. And at the end of May, we have like a decades t-shirt thing going on this year where you can get one of 3 decades, like 70s, 80s, or 90s through the rest of the year if you time your donations right. This month, there's gift cards that you are automatically entered into a giveaway. And
This month being April.
April, right? And April's Donate Life Month. I don't know if you've ever interviewed Vitalant Kiefer, who's just an amazing young woman, who's had 2 transplants. She had a kidney transplant at 19, and then about 5 years ago, had a liver transplant.
Oh my goodness.
And she's amazing. She speaks all over the country, encouraging people to sign up as organ donors. And she's received so much blood during a lot of those surgeries that she encourages people to donate blood too. And she lives up the road, you know. And
What do you mean she lives up the road?
She lives in Auburn.
Oh, she lives here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I work with a wonderful man named Dwayne he'll be celebrating his 3rd year of his heart transplant this month. And both Valen and Dwayne are Donate Life ambassadors, meaning they're encouraging people to learn about organ donation, tissue donation.
And blood donation.
Yes, and blood donation. All of which are wonderful ways to impact the world for good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And make yourself feel good, and while making other people feel good at the same time.
Helping other people live.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Before we stop, I want to share where the Vitalant is in Auburn. 11990 Heritage Oak Place, number 2A in Auburn. That's off of Bell Road. So you go to Highway 49 and turn on Bell Road, and then turn left immediately onto Heritage Oak Place. They are wonderful people who eagerly deal with you kindly and wonderfully. And if you want to phone them, 530-823-0655, and there is an email. No, but better is to phone them, or to just go in and say, hi, I'd like to give blood. When can you take me?
You could also email me, and I can put you in touch with that. My email is vwolfe, WOLFE, vwolfe @vitalant.org. VITALANT.
Okay. Wolfe with an E @vitalant.org. Okay. Well, that's lovely. I am so happy you came.
I'm so happy you asked me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all that you're doing in your community. When you can't donate blood, you can donate blood. But even when you can't, you can be an ambassador,
Yes.
right? You don't have to nag people. You don't have to.
You don't have to, but I feel like it.
But you can just educate people,
Yeah.
right? And so just even those 3 little facts that I shared, every 2 seconds blood is needed. There is no artificial substitute, and blood expires.
Yes.
It's perishable. People, they don't realize that that's where the need is. blood is a very small piece of healthcare, right? But such an important piece of healthcare.
Yes.
So, and you know, let's boost that 3%, even if it's just for Auburn. Let's get it up there.
75%. That wouldn't that be a kick? Wouldn't that be a kick?
Yeah.
Wow.
It would be really wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really would be.
So thank you for encouraging others to
my
donate.
pleasure. My pleasure. Because I'm selfish. Thank you, Vicki. And
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.